Welcome to the Walking America Couple Q&A. You guys asked the questions and voted on which ones you wanted answered most. The second most upvoted question was, what is our relationship with Jesus Christ? But if you want to hear the answer to it, you'll have to make your way to the end of the video.
First, when and where did you start?
We started in Missouri, May 16th of 2022.
How many states have you walked?
We have walked across 15 states so far.
How long will you be walking?
We're guessing it'll be a total of 4 years, maybe just over.
Why are you doing this?
That's always such a big question. You help me on this one.
More of the message that it's turned into. We hope to be the example that you can be happy in almost any circumstance if you know the right thought tools and know how to shape your perspective in the right way. We also hope that our social media can shed a light on the better natures of people. We've had so many good interactions, and so many people have helped us. The world isn't the horrible place that the news makes it out to be, or a lot of people say it is. There's a lot of good out there.
Those things are out there, but we're all stuck inside of a filter bubble. Even if it's just the filter bubble of our own consciousness and the things that we're exposed to in each moment. And so here at the Walking America Couple, we're trying to create our own filter bubble for the goodness that's actually out there. We've been exposed to a lot of kindness in this world, and there aren't a lot of outlets where people can find the exposure to those sorts of things.
We're lucky enough to receive those interactions and get to share them. What is your route for walking the states?
So here's the picture. It's divided into several major loops according to season. We've already covered the central loop, and we are well into the second loop for the eastern side of the United States. We have already ventured from Iowa up north to the Upper Peninsula, through Minnesota and Wisconsin, south back through Wisconsin, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, and over to Alabama at this point.
Last year, we started in Missouri, walked through Kansas, Colorado, down to New Mexico, and back home through Upper Texas and through the Oklahoma Panhandle. What is the average amount of miles you do in a day?
We are up to about 15 miles a day, give or take 5 miles. It really depends on where the towns are at, because we try to make it to a town at the end of the day if we can, especially here on the eastern side. It just makes it easier to find a place to sleep.
Yeah, and it depends where we can find a camp spot where someone is willing to host our tent for the night. Once you hit your last state, will you then fly or get a ride home? If you look at the map, that helps answer the question. You'll see at the end of every loop, we're heading back towards Missouri, but
we don't rewalk states.
Yeah.
So if we've already covered that state, we're going to get picked up more than likely on the border of that state. So last time when we got back to Kansas, we got picked up in Kansas.
What is your favorite state so far?
Wisconsin.
Agreed.
Yeah. The people were just super friendly. I think we only slept in the tent about a third of the time.
Yeah. Wisconsin was wonderful. Does your dog ride on the cart most of the time? How are his paws holding up?
He does. He rides on the cart almost all of the time. Every once in a while we give him a little time to loosen up by walking,
Yeah.
but he's getting old.
Jack is 15.
He's 15. He can't walk nearly as much anymore. He's a bit gimpy.
Yeah, not as much as he wants to.
Yeah.
Although when we first started walking, he walked, I would say 2/3 of the time, half the time if it was really hot. But his age is catching up with him, so. And his paws hold up well even in rough conditions. We have shoes that he can wear if it's really hot or spikes everywhere like New Mexico.
Yeah.
What did you do before the journey, and what inspired you to do this? I was waitressing and just trying to figure out what to do with my life. I wasn't doing a lot, just renting an apartment in Jefferson City, and I was a Torrance waitress when we met.
Just prior to the journey, the very last job I had was of my own making. I was the ever-walking artist in Denver, so I walked and painted at the same time, which I suppose was part of the inspiration for the journey. Before that, did work corporate jobs basically my entire adult life up until that point. And when I met Paige, I was on the road roofing after I had already sworn off corporate work, and I had already been traveling the States for a while.
So what inspired us to do this? I would say you could take a step back in your story of how we got here.
It really was the search for happiness, philosophically more than anything. You know, I was coming to realize that it didn't matter how much I had, it wasn't necessarily going to make me happy, so I wanted to figure out what the source of happiness was, because obviously there are extremely wealthy people out there that can be the unhappiest people, and extremely poor people out there that can be the happiest people. And the source of happiness is obviously something else. It occurs here. It doesn't occur because of what's out here.
Did you have to modify your diets to avoid losing too much weight for the walk?
Yeah, actually, in a way.
We modified our diets, but losing weight wasn't my main worry. There's a few reasons though.
Yeah, it wasn't just because of the weight loss. It was also because most of our expense occurs with food. I mean, we eat 8,000 calories between us a day, and a lot of people treat us to food. Prior to the journey, we were both vegan 7 years and 6 years. So, yeah, that we weren't. It's pretty difficult to hold on to doing something like this.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't have a lot of stores to shop at. You might have a gas station, and as Torin learned on the Colorado Trail, it is not fun living off of Oreos and Cliff Bars and peanut butter. So
yeah, it's difficult to get your protein in if all you can do
Yeah.
is shop at a gas station, but almost everywhere has some kind of non-vegan protein.
Yeah, we wanted to be able to share meals with people, and not a lot of people are vegan, so that helps too. How long have you and your boyfriend/husband been together?
3 years, and we got married February 9th.
We walked for 6 months, then got married, then kept walking. Which one of you had the idea of walking through every state? The original adventure. How many pairs of shoes have you worn out so far?
7.
3.
Yep, your walking pattern really makes a difference.
Yeah. More than twice the difference, apparently. Do you only walk in small towns and avoid the big cities?
We do our best to avoid the big cities. It's not always possible because sometimes the road systems just lead through a big city and you don't have a back road to get around it, but if we can, we will walk a long way out of the way to go around them.
Yeah, we will not walk cities like Memphis, Chicago. We will plan ahead to avoid them, and if possible, we'll avoid cities of 50,000 or even 20,000 if we can.
But we walk through a pretty good number of 20,000
Yeah.
plus, yeah.
The smaller the better. Easier to walk,
Agreed.
often friendlier. Have you ever felt scared or endangered by someone on this journey? I would say by drivers quite often, but otherwise, not really. If you get not quite a good feeling about someone, we've been able to just leave the interaction and keep going, but nothing has been too particularly scary. We haven't ran into any robbers or anyone. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not really.
Yeah.
The world's a better place than people think it is.
Yeah. What challenges have you guys had together and individually so far? I'd say together, if you agree, one of our biggest challenges is having enough time for everything, whether it's our own personal time, time for us together, date night and whatnot, and having work time even though that's what we really focus on, we still don't even feel like we have enough time for that.
Yeah, time to make YouTube videos. That's a great example. I mean, you can see that the sun is going down right now, and it's because we just haven't had any time today.
Yeah, you're either walking, eating, setting up camp, putting up camp,
Or talking to people.
talking to people.
Lots of talking to people.
before doing social media work. And individually, would you say you have a personal challenge aside from our shared challenge?
I mean, the whole thing is a challenge, right? Covering miles is a challenge. Your feet are always challenging you. They don't want to do as much as the rest of your body can do. Ticks, bugs, mosquito infestations. We went through a tornado in Kansas. Lots of drivers on the road, but you know, it all starts to fade into the background. It just becomes the life. It doesn't feel challenging after a while.
It's not really stressful. Most of it, you kind of adjust. It's just the way of life.
Everything becomes normalized eventually. You just have to subject yourself to a certain period of hardship, and then it tapers off after a while.
I would say also individually, what comes to mind is we have to say goodbye to every friend we make. We rarely stay an extra day with anyone, so you get to know someone for a day and you say goodbye and hope that you get to see them again, and we're making friends every day, and I know a lot of them, it's possibly the last time I'll ever see them, so that's a bit sad. You don't have a lot of stable friends, you don't get to see people regularly.
We've had some hard goodbyes.
Yeah, had to shed a few tears. Do you have a plan in case of an emergency, either personal or a severe weather outbreak? Well, we have a decent first aid kit for those sorts of emergencies. If we get injured, it really depends on where we're at. If we are headed to a house where someone's hosting us and we're good friends with them, at that point we might be able to stay a little bit. We haven't had to deal with that. We haven't sprung an ankle or something like that.
Yeah, we're pretty prepared for almost any circumstance, but only insofar as you can be with what you can carry with you. I mean, There's no backup vehicle following us. We have the backup of friends that we make along the way, and they have come in as backup multiple times along the journey. I snapped one of the carts in the middle of New Mexico, and someone brought us a new one. A friend we had just made.
As far as weather, we have raincoats, backpack covers, stuff for our carts to be covered from snow or rain, and if it's extremely severe, we also have tarps that we could tuck in and put over our tent, or our gear prepares us, and hopefully if it's anything too severe, we know ahead of time or have someone here to help. Did you have to train your dog to stay out of the road? How do you keep him safe so close to traffic? Yes, we did.
Jack's pretty easy to train though. His
smart.
breed, he's intuitive. He knows what you want very quickly.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a chore only because of his personal preference to get him to ride the dolly, but after a while he figured out what was going on, and it's become pretty normal for him. He doesn't always like to ride. His spirit is a little bit more ambitious than his body is, and if he could, he'd probably walk every step of the way.
He does really well. He doesn't hardly get close to the road. He knows back. He'll walk at my heels, basically, nearly tripping on me, and I say up, and he hops right on the cart when he feels like listening. But otherwise, he's always on the left of me, away from the road. From a financial standpoint, did you sell everything and pay off all debt to be able to do this? We didn't have any debt.
Yeah, we didn't have any debt.
We were not tied down to anything, thankfully, and
for my entire life, I have mostly refused to indebt myself to something that I couldn't pay off with the money that I had in my bank account at that point in time. So,
yeah,
debt-free.
Yep. Have you faced any major issues with muscle cramps from all the walking you both do? And if so, how long have either of you been out of commission recovering? We have not been completely out of commission for anything. We've had very mild things where it feels like an injury's coming on and you have to tend to it and get foot rubs every night.
This is actually one of those moments where it has been 3 weeks without a rest day, but it's resulted in something that feels like an oncoming injury, so we're holing up for the next couple of days to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yes. Related questions. I'll just kind of answer them all together. What are your plans after you are done walking? Will you be relocating to somewhere you've been to or returning home? Will you write a book? Probably won't write a book.
Yeah.
As a lot of you probably know, we're creating a lot of content right now, and if you look at the website, Torrens Writing has wrote a few different books already, not just like stories of the walk.
Yeah, I don't see us writing a book about the walk. If you want to see what we've gone through on the walk, there are so many different means of looking into that. Facebook has the day-to-day stuff. The walk has the section of the website has the more long-form insights on it. YouTube has videos about some of the different experiences that we've had, and there are more incoming. If we write any kind of books, it's going to be about the lessons we learn regarding how we can shape this up here.
Yeah. And as far as returning home, all of our family is in Missouri. I'm sure we'll return to Missouri much throughout our life no matter what, but I think the walk is going to decide for us where we'll end up. We are open to finding a new home, possibly. We both have the desire to find land that we love and build our own cabin someday, so we might find a new favorite spot on the walk. We've only walked 15 so far though, so not for sure. Missouri keeps poking at us. It's looking pretty good still.
Ideally though, we would like to find somewhere to build a cabin, a very rudimentary cabin that we build by hand with hand tools, nothing automated, literally a handsaw, a hammer, nails, and cheap, rough and rugged.
Yeah. I don't know if it'll happen right after the walk, but definitely planning on it someday.
We're looking for it.
Yeah. We have a few other adventure ideas though, so maybe a long canoeing trip down the whole Mississippi or something of the sort.
We really think we're going to learn what we want to do after the walk during the walk. You know, this journey has changed us so much already, although we're committed to finishing it out and seeing it out. I don't know what we're going to want to do after this, and I don't want to attach myself to anything when it's 3 years down the road.
Yeah.
I didn't know who I was going to be a year ago. I didn't see this person here now today, and I don't know what I'm going to be 3 years from now.
Tell me about your relationship with Jesus Christ.
The Jesus question. All right, here we go. One of the things we want to set an example for on this journey is a person's ability to get along with their fellow man if they don't cling so tightly to what they think they know. If there's anything we've learned, it's that we didn't really know anything about the different demographics before starting this journey. Interacting with every kind of person has broken down all of our preconceptions, but we've only been able to do that because we've remained flexible about who we are and what we think we know. Most of identity is an impediment. From the moment we're born, people are trying to figure out who you are, what you're going to be, and what box they can put you in. But this limits our capacity to change and become better, and it hinders our ability to connect with one another. To be more specific, conception, the concepts that we use to divide the world into digestible categories, alters the love we're willing to show, because we feel once we've found someone's box, we know about them. And yet conception only exists in thought, while reality is experienced in the present, moment to moment. To tell you we've accepted Jesus as Lord, or to say we're Buddhists, or atheists, or Hindus, will box us in and away from people we could otherwise genuinely connect with. Conversation needs to unfold naturally, and on an individual basis if we want to truly see someone. What we will say is that we do our best to avoid biasing ourselves against any kind of person, instead hoping to see past all conceptual lines and into the hearts of those we cross paths with. If you want to get to know our hearts, it will be through the fruits we manifest, not the identity that can be assigned to us.